Good evening, everybody. Till yesterday, we were discussing Article 172, 173, and 174 regarding duration of legislative assemblies in states. Taking a digression here, I would like to discuss some other interesting topic. We have seen several prime ministers right from 1947 till date. In 1947, when we got independence, there was no constitution. Constitution came into existence in 1950. As such, Jawaharlal Nehru was sworn in as Prime Minister of India, first Prime Minister of India by Lord Mountbatten, the last British Viceroy in India, in accordance with the British system. We know in Britain, people elect parliament members elect the Prime Minister, and he rules the country. There is no elected president. That is called parliamentary democracy and Westminster style of governance. They do not have a written constitution. They go by parliamentary conventions. In India, first elections took place in 1952. That is 5 years after getting independence. Let us keep it apart. The constitution came into effect from 1950. When it was opened and seen, it was found that India is not parliamentary democracy like the UK. It is presidential democracy like US. There has to be an elected president and appointed ministers. So the presidential elections were to be conducted in 1950. To contest those elections, Nehru as Prime Minister, Vallabhbhai Patel or Dr. Ambedkar as ministers have to resign first. If they resign and contest to presidential post, if they lose there, they lose both. As a compromising policy, all these great leaders promoted Babu Rajendra Prasad unanimously and saw that he won. With that gratitude, he confined himself to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and abdicated his constitutional powers in favor of the Prime Minister. He started signing and stamping whatever papers sent to him and acquired the title President is a rubber stamp. Since the same political party and same political family ruled this country up to 1977 for 30 years, it has become practiced by presidents. First I am analyzing what the first Prime Minister did for India. And during the time of partition, when Pakistan was formed on religious basis, he announced that India shall be secular and that Muslims could stay back in India. But during constitutional debates, a socialist member K.T. Shah proposed to add socialist, secular and federal into the constitution, to which Dr. Ambedkar stoutly opposed, and the Legislative Assembly supported the argument of Dr. Ambedkar. As such, India cannot be social, secular or federal. But how? When there was no constitution, Jawaharlal Nehru could declare that India shall be secular is questionable. Again, he did not object for formation of Pakistan. He did not object for formation of independent Kashmir through Article 370, and he invited Muslims to stay back in India. Some people say he was also responsible for stopping Indian army from acquiring the whole of Kashmir, merging it into India. The king of Kashmir, Raja Hari Singh, gave letter of accession to India, despite of which we could not occupy the entire Kashmir. We also remember a China war in which 44,000 square kilometers in Siachen area was lost to China. Of course, he is credited with establishing all democratic institutions in India, following the style of mixed economy, whereby all large industries and nationally interested industries were kept in public sector and other businesses were given to private sector. He was also responsible for constructing so many irrigation dams across rivers, including Nagarjuna Sagar, Srisailam, etc. He called them as modern temples of India. He was responsible in formation of all these constitutional agencies like the judiciary, the press, the universities and several other national institutions of excellence. This is what we can remember about Jawaharlal Nehru. Next effective Prime Minister is Indira Gandhi. She has an iron will. She was responsible for bifurcating Pakistan into Pakistan and Bangladesh. She may be credited with courage and valor for doing that, but that is of no use for India. She was blamed for imposing emergency in 1975 and bringing 42nd constitutional amendment to regularize the irregularities that were followed till then, like the policy of socialist and secular. Of course, she also continued to rule the country in federal fashion. She was largely accused of oppressing human rights and imprisoning opposition leaders. This is not a very conducive to advancement of Indian interests. The next notable Prime Minister is Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He was known to be a gentleman, has wit and wisdom, but any remarkable things have not taken place during his tenure. And the fourth Prime Minister worth remembering is P.V. Narasimha Rao. He was a great scholar. He could speak 13 languages. He bailed out Indian economy when it was at the brink of bankruptcy. He took initiative for globalization, privatization and computerization of Indian trade and industry, which resulted in the economic growth as we are seeing today. He is the fourth Prime Minister, and of course Rajiv Gandhi also worked as Prime Minister for 5 years. But very remarkable things have not taken place during his tenure. I remember only him for two things. One was 52nd Amendment of 1985 regarding anti-defection bill. In fact, anti-defection bill, I told you several times, instead of curtailing defections, it worked as wholesale defection encouragement bill. Because instead of going anybody singly, you should take away 1/3 of the political party. So then the governments are sure to fall, and we are going for mid-term elections due to that. So the sixth Prime Minister worth remembering is Narendra Modi. Of course, I think he is continuing for the third term. As far as his achievements and drawbacks are concerned, he was accused of Godhra violence, but of course there was a reason triggering that violence. Ayodhya Karsevaks were burnt alive in a train compartment. As a result, violence broke out naturally. But what he did later is highly commendable, especially he abrogated Article 370 and abolished the system of talaq. These two things, I tell you, Narendra Modi has done most benefit to Muslim community rather than any other. By abrogating Article 370, he welcomed Kashmiris disarmingly into his arms, saying that we are one, you are part of India. You can come to India and other states, and other state people can come to your state. Otherwise, who will invest there? Hitherto, others were not authorized to purchase lands in Kashmir. So, who will go there and establish industries? And how to curtail terrorism there? So, now that Article 370 is abrogated, funds will flow into Kashmir, people will flow into Kashmir, and Kashmiri girls and boys, especially girls, would be able to marry boys from other states. This is a great reform, political reform. Article 370 was supposed to be a temporary and transitory provision. Temporary means you should live for a short period. Transitory means that should be valid only for a particular time until something happens. Transitory from one situation to another situation. The other situation, in my opinion, is that happening of the first general elections and formation of the first parliament. That means in 1952 itself, Article 370 must have been reviewed and rescinded. Unfortunately, a provision which was temporary and transitional lived for 75 years. And regarding repeal of talaq system, it is a great humanitarian and in the direction of acquiring equality and unity among Indian citizens. As far as Hindus are concerned, he has resolved the Babri Masjid issue, which was a burning volcano. He solved it so peacefully and constructed a remarkable, memorable Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. So also he renovated Varanasi temple and Ujjaini temple, which were destroyed previously in foreign invasions. He has steered the country remarkably successfully through the dreaded COVID pandemic. He not only steered India, but India could supply COVID vaccines to the entire world. And the other is digitalization of economy, whereby every trader, including a roadside vendor, is able to use QR codes, whereby entire Indian financial transactions are captured, are routed through banking system, whereby India gets better estimates of transactions in India and it results in better realization of taxes. And the another reform is GST. Now we can see the people are voluntarily complying with GST. They do not want to purchase without a bill, because now they do not lose anything by purchasing with a bill, because the GST they will get as input credit. So the revenues of the government have been augmented to a great extent. At present, GST revenues are about 2.5 lakh crores per month. It is a great achievement. So much of money is needed for development of this nation. And the GST system is such that it is very difficult for anybody to resort to corruption and to evade tax. This also resulted in better realization of income tax collections. The government has been stable for 10 years. A sense of nationhood, a sense of respect for Indian history, Indian ancestry is slowly recovering. He rightly said that India is recovering from the previous wounds. Those wounds we know are social, political, and economic and historical, of course, which challenged our very existence. Today, India is respected all over the world due to this political stability. Yet, I tell you, Narendra Modi does not deserve to be Prime Minister of India. He deserves to be President of India. Prime Minister is, after all, an appointed man. Sometimes he may be an elected member of the legislatures. Sometimes he may not be that. Sometimes he may be a nominated Rajya Sabha member. Even if elected from one constituency like Varanasi, he should not get power to rule the entire country with single seat majority in the Lok Sabha. Whereas the president is elected by all the MLAs in India and members of both houses of the parliament without issuing a whip, and his removal is almost next to impossible under Article 61 through impeachment. Indian president is not impeachable unless he violated the constitution. Even if he violated, it needs two-thirds majority in both houses of the parliament separately. That lends credibility to the government, stability to the government, and that will augment economic growth in the country. Thank you. Thank you for watching my videos. I request you to please subscribe, share, and comment on my videos. I will be glad to reply to your comments.